My name is Nieves Flores, and I am from Bogota, Colombia, and I came to the United States because I wanted to seek for a better life and better educational opportunities. Um, where I'm from in Colombia, there's high crime rates. The economy is pretty bad, and um, the government is not the best. So, I would like to talk about how recent proposed changes to immigration policies and ordinances here in the U.S. have made it too difficult for immigrants like me to become citizens. And the reasons why it's too difficult is because of raised processing fees for paperwork, the longer processing time, so it takes longer to process the paperwork to be able to become a citizen, and lack of accommodations for people with disabilities, for immigrants or refugees with disabilities. And some may argue that this long and expensive process is good for those getting into U.S. because it weeds out, say, like terrorists or those who come here to seek jobs. So they would say that it would be better for them not to be able to become citizens, so we as natural born Americans can have the jobs that those refugees or immigrants would take from us. But this is incorrect, and I will explain to you why. So it is too difficult to immigrate to to become a U.S. citizen because of the cost. Um, where I'm from in Colombia, we use pesos. That's our national currency, and one Colombian peso is compared to 0.00026 US dollars. So my money that I've received, like from my family or that I've worked really hard to earn, computes to almost nothing here in the United States. And it's the same with many other countries. People that are coming from places like Mexico or Brazil, their currency doesn't match up with US dollars, and it's significantly lower, so it's much harder for them to earn enough money to come here. And that information is from exchangerates.org. There's also been, in recent years, there's been a 65% increase in processing fees. This is from rescue.org. So it used to be like around $300 or $400 to become a U.S. citizen, and now processing fees after everything, it's about $800. And this is difficult for people like me who've come to the United States seeking a better life, because it's hard for me to get a job without being a citizen, and it's hard for me to make enough money to become a citizen or to stay in the country long enough to be able to become a citizen without money. So another reason why it's so hard, too difficult to become a citizen here in the U.S. for us immigrants or for refugees, is because of longer processing times for paperwork. So if I were to submit my paperwork to become a U.S. citizen, it would take 9 to 26 months for that paperwork to process and to come through. And this is much longer than it needs to be. Right now, especially with COVID, things have slowed down a lot. And in the past 3 years, processing times have doubled, which has made it really hard for refugees and immigrants like me to become citizens. And this information is from rescue.org. And in doing some research, there's about 300,000 people like me who have immigrated to the U.S. that have applied for citizenship but haven't received it yet, who could have voted in this next election. But because of the slower processing times and the increased fees, we aren't allowed to vote because we haven't become citizens yet because of these longer processing times. So one final reason why I'd like to give to you today as to why it's too difficult to become a U.S. citizen is that it's too difficult because of it's difficult for those with disabilities to get accommodations here in the U.S. And without accommodations, they are unable to work or they can't bring their families here to help take care of them. So, for example, like one of my friends from back home has a severe disability where it's hard for her to work, and so she, like in coming to the U.S., she would have a really hard time becoming a citizen because there's no accommodations put in place, and fee waivers have been eliminated for those with disabilities who are trying to become citizens. And this has made it really difficult for people like my friend to become citizens because they can't find a job and they can't receive benefits, so they can't bring their family here to take care of them, and so there's just this poverty cycle that just takes over, and they eventually just end up either going back to their own country or living here and becoming homeless, or having to live with groups of really large groups of people, which is difficult for them as with a disability. So in conclusion, it is too difficult for people like me and other immigrants and refugees to become U.S. citizens because of increased fees, longer processing times, and lack of accommodations for individuals with disabilities. And as I said before, some people may argue that this is like these longer processing times or bigger fees are good because it kind of like weeds out the bad or the people that don't get to, like shouldn't get to become a U.S. citizen. But if you think about it, like terrorist groups have a lot of money because they have power where they're from, and so people with a lot of money and a lot of power are going to be able to get into our country anyway. Also, those who argue that jobs are being taken by immigrants and refugees, we need the jobs that they perform, and a lot of people in America right now aren't willing to perform the jobs that these immigrants and refugees come in and do for us. So in conclusion, we need to be more open to refugees and immigrants coming here to the U.S. We need to be, our borders need to be more open, and we need to make this the land of opportunity for everyone. Thank you.